Welcome, everyone. I'm excited to kick off today's presentation. Today, we're exploring Surah Maun, a meaningful chapter from the Quran. This presentation is brought to you by Continuous Learning Development, and it's part of our ongoing journey to deepen understanding. Over the next few minutes, we'll look at the key themes and lessons from Surah Maun. So, let's get started and discover the insights this surah offers us today. Let's take a closer look at this powerful passage from Surah Maun. It starts by questioning those who deny the final judgment, highlighting that such denial can lead to neglecting moral responsibilities. The next points emphasize the importance of compassion and kindness, specifically, caring for orphans and the poor. When we ignore these acts of charity, we risk falling into hypocrisy. The passage then warns us about the dangers of superficial religiosity, praying just for show without truly being mindful or sincere. It also criticizes those who only pray to appear pious but fail to provide even the simplest help to those in need. Overall, this slide reminds us that genuine faith isn't just about rituals. It's about compassion, sincerity, and actively helping those who are vulnerable. These values are central to our overall theme of authentic spirituality and moral responsibility. Today, I want to highlight some important points about this specific surah. The name of the surah literally means a commonly used instrument, like a bucket or a pot. But in the context of the surah, it refers to help or kindness, something that everyone should be willing to contribute to. This is a key concept because it emphasizes community support and caring for one another. Interestingly, the last word that appears in the surah is related to this idea of giving and helping. The surah was taught to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, by Jibril, while he was in Makkah. It was revealed after Surah Takathur, but our Prophet placed it after Surah Quraysh. This shows that the order of the surahs isn't necessarily chronological. Rather, it was guided by Allah SWT. Allah SWT teaches us some very important lessons about true belief, or iman. One major lesson is the importance of doing good deeds with the right intention, not just for show. When deeds are done solely to be seen by others, they lose their sincerity and meaning. In fact, such showy deeds can mean disbelief, or kufr, because they involve shirk, associating partners with Allah by performing actions for recognition rather than for Allah alone. So, as we reflect on this surah, let's remember the significance of genuine intention behind our actions and the importance of sincere kindness and support within our communities. This slide reminds us that sometimes we encounter questions that aren't meant to be answered directly, but rather to make us think. It's a rhetorical question designed to provoke reflection. The verse here is asking us to consider how a disbeliever acts, someone who may say they believe, but their actions and beliefs tell a different story. Believing in the final judgment is a crucial part of our faith. It's not just a superficial statement. It's an article of faith that we must hold firmly in our hearts. And part of that belief isn't just about saying the Shahada. It's about truly believing in what it signifies, especially the conviction that we will stand before Allah SWT for judgment. Having this firm belief means, without doubt, we accept that we will meet Allah SWT and be accountable for our actions. If someone only utters the Shahada without genuinely believing in the final judgment, their faith isn't complete. The verse here asks, "Have you seen the one who denies the final judgment?" which challenges us to reflect on the importance of this core belief. It's a reminder that true faith encompasses not just words, but a deep conviction that influences our entire way of life and our relationship with Allah SWT. Let's take a closer look at this slide. One of the first signs that Allah SWT mentions as a warning against disbelief in the Day of Judgment is the act of pushing away the orphan. Now, pushing away here means not taking care of an orphan, someone who has no father to look after them. It also includes preventing the child from getting what is rightfully theirs, whether it's their inheritance or their rights. Historically, before Islam, we know that some Arabs would even prevent women and children from inheriting. This was a serious injustice. Islam came to correct that, emphasizing the importance of caring for orphans and ensuring they receive their due rights. It's also crucial to understand the role of the guardian, someone responsible for an orphan's property. When the child reaches the age of puberty and discretion, the guardian must give the property back to them. Withholding it or not giving what is owed is a clear injustice. The verse here, from Surah Al-Mutaffifin, 107:2, highlights this act of turning away from orphans as a serious wrong. It reminds us that neglecting or mistreating orphans is not just a social issue, but a sign of disbelief, something that should alarm us all. This connects to our overall theme of justice and compassion in our faith, emphasizing how important it is to treat the vulnerable with care and fairness. Now, let's look at the second sign of disbelief in the day of judgment, which is not feeding the orphan and not being kind. This highlights the importance of charity and compassion in our faith. When someone is neglectful in helping orphans or showing kindness, it reflects a serious spiritual failing. This point also emphasizes that not giving charity or being miserly, meaning holding onto money tightly and refusing to give in charity, is a clear sign of disbelieving. It's about the attitude towards wealth. When someone loves wealth immensely, as mentioned in the Quran in Surah Al-Humazah, verse 20, and you love wealth with immense love. Wealth, my friends, is a blessing from Allah. It's a test from Him. How we handle that wealth, whether we give to the poor, pay zakat, or part with money generously, is a test of our faith and gratitude. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, gave us permission to feel jealousy only in two specific cases: when a person has been given wealth and spends it in the way of Allah, or when someone has knowledge and uses it to serve Allah. Jealousy, generally, is discouraged and considered harmful, but in these two cases, it is permitted because they are avenues of righteousness and virtue. Finally, it's important to note that ignoring the feeding of the poor is also condemned, as Allah mentions in Surah Al-Mutaffifin, verse 3, which criticizes those who neglect their responsibilities towards the needy. So overall, these points remind us that true faith involves compassion, generosity, and a sincere love for Allah's blessings, always using them to benefit others and stay true to our spiritual duties. On this slide, we see that the word woe means bad wishes or a curse. It indicates a serious warning. The slide mentions that Allah, or Swa, curses those who pray improperly or with bad intentions. The verse that follows helps us understand why this curse is directed at certain people. The English translation gives us a hint. Sometimes, people pray but are still cursed because their actions or intentions are not sincere. Interestingly, the word hypocrites appears in the tafsir of Ibn Kathir, but it's not in the original Arabic text. This suggests that the issue isn't just about outward appearances, but about the sincerity behind the prayer. The verse, "So woe to those hypocrites who pray," highlights the importance of genuine worship. It's a reminder that prayer isn't just a ritual, it must come from a sincere heart. This ties into our overall theme of authentic worship and sincerity in our spiritual practices. In the previous verse, we saw that when Allah Swa says woe, He's not addressing those who pray sincerely, but rather those who only pretend to pray. What does that mean? It means they are careless about their prayer, not giving it the attention and sincerity it deserves. Some people might delay their salah or pray out of the designated time, not taking it seriously. Now, those who pray without genuine focus or sincerity, without understanding the importance of their prayer, are actually risking punishment. Because prayer is more than just a ritual, it's a protection, a shield, against evil deeds known as fasha and disbelief or munfar. But here, the key point, prayer can only serve as true protection if it's offered with the right intention and belief. Allah Swa reminds us in the Quran about the importance of guarding our prayers. In Surah Al-Mu'minun, verse 9, He says, "And those who guard their prayers." Guarding your prayers means more than just performing the physical act. It means offering them on time, doing them correctly, and with concentration and focus. On the other hand, some are mindful of the prayer's obligation, but remain unmindful during its performance, as Allah mentions in Surah Al-Ma'arij, verse 5. It's not enough to just perform the act. We must be present and sincere in our hearts. This connection between sincerity, focus, and the protective power of prayer is central to our spiritual growth and overall obedience to Allah. Today, I want to discuss an important aspect of our prayers as explained in this verse. It highlights that some people pray not to please Allah, but rather to be seen by others. Their intention is to gain recognition or admiration, which means their prayer is not genuine. Instead of praying out of love or obedience to Allah, they pray to appear pious in front of people. Some may even pray just to give the impression that they are Muslims, but their true aim is to impress others or to be part of the crowd. There are also those who pray out of fear of their parents or teachers, simply because they don't want to get into trouble. However, such people might not truly understand Allah's greatness and mercy. True prayer comes from knowing Allah, learning to love Him and fear Him in the right way. When we genuinely understand who Allah is, our prayers become sincere acts of devotion. This understanding also helps us recognize the importance of praying with mindfulness, especially by reflecting on the reality of the Day of Judgment. Knowing that we will meet Allah one day should motivate us to be more sincere and consistent in our prayers. Only those who truly believe in that meeting will put real effort into preparing for it by guarding their prayers diligently. Finally, remember that showing off in prayer, doing it just for people's approval, diminishes its true purpose. Our focus should always be on connecting with Allah sincerely, not on seeking human approval. Today, I want to focus on a very important aspect of our faith, how our actions outside of prayer reflect our true spiritual state. The slide states that the proof of someone being careless in prayer is that they cannot do the simplest acts of kindness. What does this mean? Essentially, it shows that if we're neglecting the basic acts of kindness, like helping orphans, giving charity, or simply offering support when needed, it reveals a lack of sincerity or care in our worship. Refusing to help others, finding excuses not to do good, or turning away from opportunities to assist are signs that our prayer might be superficial if it doesn't translate into action. Helping other Muslims isn't just about charity. It's a way Allah, Swah, eases our path to Jannah. The verse on the slide emphasizes this beautifully. Refusing even the simplest aid is a serious matter. So the key takeaway is that true devotion isn't just about what we do during prayer, but how we live our everyday actions. When we choose kindness and help others, we're actually reinforcing our spiritual connection and earning Allah's mercy. It's all interconnected, our prayers, our actions, and our journey to Jannah. In this final slide, I want to emphasize some of the key messages we've explored throughout this presentation. The surah highlights certain major signs of disbelief that we should be aware of. Allah Swah warns us against these signs, helping us recognize and avoid them in our lives. At the same time, Allah Swah encourages us to develop and embody signs of righteousness and belief, which strengthen our faith and character. A true believer, for instance, is generous, kind, and trustworthy. These qualities reflect genuine faith in action. They also take Salah seriously, understanding its importance in maintaining their connection with Allah Swah. Moreover, a believer's firm belief in the Judgment Day motivates them to do righteous deeds consistently, knowing that their actions are ultimately for their own benefit and accountability. To sum up, this slide ties everything together by reminding us that our goal should be to develop those signs of faith and righteousness. This aligns perfectly with the overall theme of the presentation, striving to grow closer to Allah Swah and embodying the principles of true belief in our daily lives.